Hello everyone, my name is Milda Vilchinskaite and I am a communication specialist at the Project Tech Hub at the Agency for Science, Innovation and Technology in Lithuania. And the aim of our project is to help develop early stage business ideas, encourage intensive startup growth, and provide support for young businesses. And today I have with me a very special guest who was actually a keynote speaker in our pre-acceleration program launch event. Who is Accelerators guru, a mentor, international keynote speaker, and startup ecosystem builder from Israel, Tal Catran. Hello, Tal.
Hello, hi.
It's very nice to have you here, Tal. Tal actually has a lot of experience with startups. He has established and managed 13 acceleration programs. He's an angel investor in tech startups, startup mentor, as I said, business owner, and it would probably take the entire podcast just to cover his experience in this field. So today I invited Tal to talk about a very relevant topic for startups nowadays, which is the startups in the face of COVID-19 crisis and probably any other crisis, but especially the crisis like this one. So in this podcast with Tal, we're going to talk about how the pandemics has affected startups all over the world, and most importantly, how to use the crisis as an advantage and how to get past it. So what I would like to start with is, Tal, could you tell us a little bit more about how COVID-19, this crisis, has changed the startup ecosystem in the world so far, and also in Israel? It would be very interesting to hear that, because, well, as we can see in the media and from examples, it says that the pandemic has caused record spike in collapse of startups, and that it's the funding for them has dropped by a lot. So coming back to my question, how do you think it has affected the ecosystem?
Hi, and I should say ahlan and sahlan as I'm speaking to you from Dubai right now. It's very exciting. And by the way, Milda can tell you a lot about Dubai, more than I can because I've been here 24 hours. Came here as peace just broke between Israel and the Emirates. So I joined the first commercial flight of Air Dubai, and I'm still, getting myself situated around here. But it's really amazing, and I'm glad for this opportunity. And Mildy, as you said, I was just now the keynote speaker as we are launching the pre-acceleration program of Tech Hub and Meta and Vilnius University, which is another exciting event that we're having. And yes, someone can say, just to relate to your question, someone can say, how is it that they launch a program for startups in the middle of Corona? Well, I think that we know now that Corona is staying here with us, and all governments do right now is just buy time until there is a vaccine, an antidote, or something. Otherwise, Corona is here with us, which is a whole different topic. But yes, um, where there is a crisis, there is always an opportunity. Always easier said than done. So for startups, as we know, most of their existence is survival mode. So the facing unclarity, uncertainty, difficulties, that's a day to any startup. So nothing really changed much. Yes, sales are very difficult to do now because everyone is trying to cut on cost, on expenses. But when it comes to money, well, again, depends where you take the money from. VCs, some of them have raised money before crisis, before Corona. So they have the money anyways. Others, well, if you're, let's say, a smart investor, you might say that now maybe is a good time to bargain because when you're in need of money, you can be more flexible in what you ask for. Generally saying, and this is from my experience, if you are a good startup, and again, people say startup, they think technology. I say startup, I think about team and then technology. So if you're a good team and you're very focused on what you do and you have the capabilities to deliver on your promise, meaning to develop the technology, regardless of anything, as long there is humanity and there is needs, you will prevail. You will succeed. Again, Competition will always be there. Other option your investors and customers will always have. But the fact, and this is very important to listen right now, the fact that you will be able to survive Corona, as I said, startups are surviving anyway. So if you will be past this and you will be able to look back and say, wow, we have gone through this, be sure that the investors will appreciate it the same way. What you need to do now is what all startups needs to do always is keep on moving ahead. Little bit slower, more difficult, but keep on moving. Do not stop for any minute, for any second. Do not freeze. Keep on moving. Hopefully, you will get past this. We know 96% of startups shut down first year. Anywho, it's a risky business. You don't want it, go push papers in the company. Otherwise, go fight it out. Make sure that now is the good time to validate. You know, we used to know before Corona that if you would to reach to, let's say, the IT admin of a company and say, hey, how about you try my technology? He would say, wait, not so quick. Let me evaluate, let me think, let me implement. Now everyone knows that if they need you, it can take hours, maybe days, and you're in. And we have proved it, not just for cyber startups, not just for the fintech ones, for everyone. For everyone. Yes, some industries of some clusters of technology, travel tech, quite dead. But there is a day after. And the day after is now. Enough about speaking what will be. This is the new future. This is what we are living right now. So the new reality is here. Adapt, keep agile, and yes, money is there for sure.
Mhm. And how is Israel adapting to this situation? Are there any changes? How in your experience, what do you see? What's happening with startups?
Well, different than people think that everything shines in Israel, and yes, we are the startup nation, guys. We have it difficult like anyone else. Have no doubt about it. Yes, maybe in Israel, like maybe in other countries, people are more tough. And to begin with, Israel is a tough country to live in. It's very expensive. We have our struggles, we have our war, but I think in the end, like if you take the average, nothing is really different. Which what is different is that entrepreneurs in Israel, first of all, are very technological and they take it all the way. They don't stop. They work hard on the technology. They deploy quite quickly to the market, putting themselves out there, making sure that their technology is needed. It's not just in their imagination. And then I think they get it a little bit simpler or a little bit easier because raising funds for us works quite well. During September, we raised $1.2 billion just for 1 month, and it was half month was holiday, so we didn't work much, and we did 1 billion. So I think that we know to deliver very quickly. According to OECD, Israel is the third most educated country in the world after Canada and Japan. So yes, we have the technological capabilities, but I think what we have more is not just the passion, but more of the risk taking. Okay, we see problems, or we see taking responsibility as something that you need to have as part of being a successful startupper, not something that you should look away or be afraid of. So when you're willing to take a risk and you say to yourself, well, I might be wrong, you know what, most cases I am wrong, so how about I enjoy the ride, I at least give it a go. And when you're not afraid, and the fact that you have failed doesn't put you as a loser, but puts you as someone who has more experience. And when investors value this, and they say, wow, you have gone all the way, you have tried, you failed, but you rose up, you were crying on your knees and you were bleeding all over, but then you stood up and you say, I will try a different way, or maybe I will try something else. In Israel, I think we get it a lot just for the fact that we have more than 1,000 new startups open each year out of an ecosystem of over 8,000 startups, LTDs. Think how difficult it is to be in such a dense ecosystem, trying to compete for investment, for attention, for, let's say, first adopters. And they say to yourself, well, thank God we come from Vilnius and we have maybe 3 million people and the competition could be 10.
So in a way,
Little
you're
bit
saying
easier.
that it's easier to be in a like smaller market like the one we have in Lithuania, where we have just a little bit over 1,000 startups at all right now. So is it easier to survive in a smaller market?
So let's say startups will say it is maybe easier on the number, but it's more difficult on the fact that finding angel investors is near impossible. Is that maybe investors are more reluctant, more afraid to take risk on early stage. VCs are not that abundant, but I think that you can be very proud about the involvement of your government, which is willing to give a lot. And you know what? My feeling is that you don't reach out enough and take all the money which is there for some reason. Because why? Because you're Lithuanians. You need to be 100% sure you're there. And if it's 99%, you're not gonna, it's the wrong way to go. I mean, we used to say it about men and women. We say women will apply to a job if only if they have 100% of the criteria. Men, if they have 20%, the rest of the 80%, they'll get along the way. Be like that, men and women alike. Don't be afraid. Just open the crack in the door, give it a go. By God, if you're missing through two, three, four details and you're interesting, be sure someone will be calling you and say, just complete these details and let's give you the money. One. Two, you need to show that you know what to do with the money. You need to be confident in about what you say. So I would say that the fact that you have maybe smaller number on the competition side, still maybe the ecosystem is not mature enough. Maybe there is not enough support, not but saying we give support, but actual support. I don't know, professional mentorship. I know that you have good programs, like good accelerators, or at least good names of accelerators. The question is, what is the success rate? And we know as startups how we measure success. We want to measure success, first of all, raising funds, always number one. Number two is probably, first paying customers or maybe first adopters with not pay. Okay. But think that to get to this point, you as a customer, what would you be looking for? You would be looking for a good technology. Again, I say good technology. I mean, first of all, good team, capable team, then relevant need or relevant solution to a true need. Then when it completes it, a little bit of push and you're in. But you need to believe in yourself that you are capable to do it, and not in the first no say, okay, yeah, I knew you're going to say no, so I am, and start apologizing. Be Vikings. Stand on your mean. Say, this is what I want. Let me do it. Believe me, I'm going to do it. And hopefully you will. I don't know.
And you have a very inspirational slogan, which is "Don't hesitate, accelerate." And my question would be, do you think that a time like this is a time to accelerate and not hesitate? Because as we can see, a lot of people, a lot of startups, I mean, young businesses that are just about to create their business, they have an idea, but they're not starting to do anything with it. They are maybe hesitating and thinking, okay, I'm going to keep this idea in the drawer until the situation is not that uncertain anymore, when the crisis passes, when we have the vaccine, and then I can put it out, take it and do something with it. Or is it on the contrary, as your slogan says, the time to accelerate?
Definitely, I think it is always a time to accelerate. As I said, startups never stop. You're stopping, you ain't moving again. So yes, do accelerate, and especially during crisis is where the attention is somewhere else, giving you enough time to reorganize yourself, reshape yourself. But definitely, you will be asked by your potential investors and customers, how did you pass where were you during the corona? How did it affect you? And the answer was, well, we actually closed our eyes and prayed to God, and that's weakness. It's like sleeping. Sleeping is for the weak. You don't have the privilege to sleep. You need to work, and your time is now. You need to accelerate today. Just think, every second that you are letting go Every second that you are not pushing to your best, someone else is competing with you and someone else is overcoming you. They will be there before you. It is always. So the ability to really, take action, the ability to be there at the right time, at the right, at the right time, at the right place. It's very, very difficult. And yes, we cannot ignore the luck factor. Yes, you need luck to be on your side. But I say let's deal with what we can affect, what we can, have an impact on. Luck we cannot impact. We can only pray to have it. So yes, do keep on your foot, as we say, put the metal to the metal to the pedal to the metal to the wherever. Keep on pushing ahead. Do not hesitate. But it doesn't say be stupid. It doesn't say you need to bash your head into a wall over and over. You bashed it once, enough. You cannot break a mountain. You can go over or under, from the left or from the right. Keep on being smart. Get yourself good mentors. Get yourself people with experience that care for you, that are professional, and they will guide you. You cannot do everything by yourself. Also, understand this: you are not Superman or Wonder Woman. You need to have support. This you need to choose smartly.
Mhm. And a lot of people are comparing, I don't know if that's right to do, but this crisis with the one that we have had on 2008, because, well, a lot of businesses were affected back then. And of course, it collapsed, everything collapsed very quickly. But my question is, do you think that the outcome for the startups of that crisis and this one is similar, or is it different? Is it better, maybe better?
First of all, I think that when we look at a crisis, we can always look, back. So we are now in a crisis. I think it is near impossible to look at where were we or look at the history. Okay, have a perspective like look. I think it's very, very difficult. We can analyze it only within time. But as a fact, right now, because we have more information, by the way, we are bombarded by information, but we are now more aware of where we are. Okay, different than before. Now is the opportunity to listen to the experience of what went back then, see what's relevant for right now. And by the way, there are many people like me that will, I think, give you great advice. I know what you're thinking. It's easier. It's very funny to listen to this, and you feel a little bit better. But it's like chocolate. The sweet holds you for 1 minute, and then you go back to the despair. So listen many times. Yes, you have the opportunity now to take everything which is your assets, which is your team, is your brain, is your capability, hopefully some of your technology, and keep on pushing towards first adopters. People are, in a way, starting to understand this is the new normal, and they're becoming more receptive, more attentive. Do take to consideration, it's the end of the year, Christmas is coming. Some companies, they want to burn the leftovers of budget. Great opportunity for you. Find them out. They have money. They need to burn it. Or they will tell you, thank you for coming. We are planning next year budget. We will take you into consideration. You needed to come now. So all this you need to be very attentive for. And by the way, this is not free information on Google. You need to search for it. You need to explore it. You need to listen to podcasts like this of experts talking to you and say, wow, I didn't think about it. Quickly, what do I do? Now, probably you, Milda, can offer them, I don't know, maybe some information on where to search this information, which will be in the next episode. This is why they need to listen to you, to your podcast over the next one, the next one. But this is how you build yourself an ecosystem. This is how you build yourself a kind of a supporting, team that assists you, and I really believe in that. So I would say that, again, it is too early on the one side, but on the other, there's a lot of well-earned experience that you should investigate and learn from. Okay, and again, most difficult thing is to implement. We know that to listen to someone or to hear someone or to see or to think, good, but then we need to do, and we fail on the doing many, many times. This is why you need a good team to support you.
Yeah. So you have mentioned a couple of things, but just to sum it up, well, could you give our listeners like several practical tools on how to several practical tools that would help them to stay in business or even succeed in this time?
Okay. So first of all, you see Milda, keep on smiling. Smiling is very important. It does good for the soul. Dopamine is a great drug. You can really get used to that. It comes from smiling. Stay optimistic. Keep your eyes open. Have your team take responsibility and divide the responsibility. CEO doesn't need to take everything on him, not right now. Validate your need. Validate the problem that you are searching. Why? Because some things have changed because of COVID. You cannot say, okay, let us wait. It will come back. It will go back to what it was before. Will never. We know it will not be exact. So validate your need. Then look into the solution again. If you thought that you needed 100%, 20% is good enough. Find yourself a first adopter. Find yourself a company, a client, a customer that is willing to try out your technology quietly, stealth mode. Don't need to make much noise. Learn from mistakes. Learn and adjust. Okay? Be very attentive to the situation. You have gone a certain way, COVID implemented this way in a certain way, pivot. Find something that is now more relevant than before. Listen to what your customers need. We as startups, usually we go banging again with the head in the wall. A customer says to us, yes, listen, thank you for coming, but I have a similar solution and it works quite well for me. You insist, no, 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 take mine. Mine is better, but the customer said I have. Why do you insist? Instead, say thank you and search a different way. Find what you can offer him different, that he will say, wow, I have this, but this I don't have. Don't put all your efforts on a one place. On the other hand, don't go spreading it like crazy. You're a startup. You need to have a one problem that you're solving with a one solution. That's it. It's like this from beginning of time. Now more so. It's because your resources are very low right now. Cut your expenses. I know it's tough. I know it must be sometimes ruthless to think, yes, I need to say bye to some of my team. I know it's tough. I know it's hard. Speak to them. Don't send them a WhatsApp saying bye bye. Pick up the phone. Be a human being. Understand that this is a wheel. Sometimes you're on top. Sometimes you're on the bottom. You can never know when you will call them again. So be very human-like. I mean, be attentive to your team, be attentive to your customers, be attentive to your investors. Someone gave you an investment. This is the time to call back and say, hey, I know you see TV. I know you can realize yourself the problem, but I want to speak to you. Maybe get an advice. Call your customer. Say, I know I said I'm going to deploy with this. I know you're not attentive right now. Let's delay a bit. Don't wait for them to feel, you're suffocating them. Everything needs to be talked through very attentively. Write a summary, send it over. But again, it needs to start with you being optimistic, understanding that you need to adjust to a new reality, adjust it, and hopefully get some luck, some tailwind with some luck, and listen to more podcasts like this.
And you have also mentioned that it's very hard to attract investments to convince investors to invest in startups ideas. So, how to convince them? What would be your advice? How to do it? How
Mm-hmm.
to raise money when it's harder to do it?
Yeah. So I think that to show, I think first of all, to run to investors, I say run, it's like you rush to an investor, you think you have an idea, and probably you are this unicorn idea, and you rush to an investor without showing anything. No credibility, no validation, no nothing. It's a waste of time. How do I know? Let's reverse the role. Be an investor and let me reach out to you with some idea similar to yours. And the answer will be, thank you. Maybe you come back when you're more matured, when you have more to show me, when there is more meat on the stick. And if you understand this is what you will say to someone like you, understand that this is what you're going to hear anyway. So for this, I'm saying, again, if you have a good team that you can show, we say startups are very good on technology, but they're not that good on management and business. Learn your business and learn to manage. Come to the investors showing that you are running the show as much as you can. You don't need to be perfect. You don't even need to be next to perfect, but you need to show this. You need to show that you're working according to a work plan, a Gantt, that you will reach this milestone and this milestone. Now, you have thought in 2019 you will reach it by March, but then came COVID. So you pushed it, but you pushed it to March of next year. Fine, but show how you thought. What is the, what's the rationale behind it? How did you come up with the decision? What are you doing to support your new statement? This will impress. Second is that although there is COVID, you did reach out to first adopters, you did reach out to customers, you did find the way to reach the person in the organization, in your potential customer that is now talking to you. Show credibility. Show that you are mastering the art of running a startup, on developing technology. Believe me, it's not, I'm not saying to you, a secret formula that will give you the money, but maybe just turn your chances from nothing to slim. Maybe. And be sure to understand that you cannot do it for a long period of time. Meaning, if you will go through, I don't know, 20 investors in 1 month and all of them will say no, better disappear right now. Disappear right now, reevaluate, rebuild yourself, invent yourself new, and start again. And again, listen to podcasts like this, reach out to good mentors that can direct you and also take some responsibility in what they tell you.
Mm-hmm. And how would you say, so you mentioned that the team is especially important, and how would you think that startup, that entrepreneurs should motivate their team when it's like, when maybe they cut their budget, maybe the salaries are lower, maybe they have to keep the team motivated during this time?
It's a very hard question, and it's a very hard question in a very tough time. So my experience again shows that if your team is individuals are good, they will always have a job. They will always have another option where to go. So keeping hold of them with empty promises, no good. A team is a team. It's there for the good, it's there for the bad. Yes, if you are opening your startup right now, you should have a founder's agreement. It should be clear what happens if someone says it's not for me and leaves. Motivating them, first of all, be personal. It's your team. It's your buddies, So keep in touch. Social distancing, whatever. Still, you have internet, you have Wi-Fi. Get the camera going and feel like an office. That's the best you can do right now. Okay. Again, even your promises can hold for a period of time. It will not last forever. And I think that if you're being, straightforward and you're showing personal, like an example, okay, lead by example. Don't say one thing and do other and expect them to not see it. They will see it for sure. So do share the concern with them. And when I say with them, it sounds funny because it's startups. It's people like you. Okay, you're the CEO, he's the CTO, but you're buddies, you're friends. I'm not talking about companies who are 50 workers because that's a company for me. A startup, it's like 2, 3 people at the most. If they're second stage, maybe 6 or 8. They all know. They're smart people, these young people. They know what's going on, but still keep them in the loop. And yes, show them hope. And yes, someone in the team will always work harder than others. This is not a time to say, listen, I work hard, you're not, go away. It's not the time for this. It's the time to survive. Go press survival mode now.
Mhm. And you're also an expert in communications. What would you think a good strategy for communicating your services would be in the crisis like this to try to convince customers to join you and to make the reach higher?
I think that keeping close and personal with your customers is very important now more than ever. Yes, you're not Supermans again or Wonder Woman. For that matter, you need to call your customer, share the anxiety, share the frustration, share, speak. Now is not time to say to him, I offered you this deal before Corona, you didn't take it. You know what? If you don't take it until the end of November, I will increase the price by 30%. You think this will motivate your customers to take you? At this time, probably they want to kick you in the head when you tell it to them. So don't be that. It's not even smart. It's being stupid. It's being like, unsensitive even. Go to them and say, listen, we understand the problem, but you're bigger than us and we really need this right now. So how can we come to terms? Can we reach any agreement? Can we just pass this tough time together, and give us something, some air, you know? Keep being in their face, but in a good kind of manner. Maybe reach out to, although we do this, we see that possibly you would need this service. Now, we are not a service company, we're a startup, but right now we're willing to do things we did not do before because we need to survive. And I want to keep my friends in the startup. I need to give them something. It's not begging, but it's showing a different perspective, a different way of thinking. Think, be creative. Think outside of the box. Don't think what they will think about you. Put your ego aside. You need to survive. And when you need to survive, you go to extreme. This extreme doesn't mean you're gonna, threaten them, give me the money. It's not this. You're saying to them, we are willing to think different, but we want to think together. Let's figure out together.
Mhm. And talking about startups that are especially struggling at this time, like you mentioned, for example, traveling startups, what would be your brief survival guide for them?
Wow. So travel tech is in a tough situation right now, and travel tech would be planes, hotel, restaurants, I don't know, public parks and all this. Yes, but we see that even when we go to lockdown for 3 weeks or a month, and then we are out again. And in this short time we are out again, we are all trying to do the most of the time to earn something. I would say there is no other way for you guys, but you need to pivot. Meaning, if you have this algorithm that was very relevant to flights, or this algorithm that was really very relevant for prices of hotels, pivot. Pivot to where? Pivot towards the digital, meaning towards retail. Might be that what you thought towards traveling is very relevant to retail because now we are all buying digital. There are no shops open. We can only buy online. Maybe what you have is because, again, travel, retail is not that far away. Maybe you can adapt. Maybe you need to pivot towards there. And yes, this is the new normal for sure. Digital is going to stay. It's been, pushed forward light years. Maybe you have a billing system. So you thought billing of hotel, change it, billing of clothes. It's not that far away. This is like the first advice that comes to mind.
Yeah, and Do you think, I mean, so in this situation, a lot of us are staying from home. And my question, to put it in the funny sentence, would be, is it possible to create a startup from your bedroom? Like, I mean, you can't really meet anyone a lot. You can't, especially when a lot of people are sick right now. So all of them are just staying by their computers when before they used to travel and stay together. Is it possible to do it under quarantine, under this, situations like this?
I would say that we know now that, again, this is the new normal. So there is no other way to go about it. We just read that Twitter, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, I just heard about Checkpoint, they're all gonna reduce, if not to shut down their facilities, their offices, just because they're gonna give their, some of them are gonna give the option, some of them are gonna say it's mandatory for their workers to work 2-3 days from home, or the other way around. So yes, if this is done by commercial huge companies, of course a startup bootstrap for sure, working from home anyway. So you just move from the garage sitting together to each one to his bedroom. Nothing more than that. But what you're asking is much deeper, is how to maintain a schedule. Yes, now it's very easy because everything is depressive to tell ourselves, well, it's fine to wake up at 11, to get fat, to sit on the couch, to dwell, to stick our faces into Netflix. By the way, if you're seeing Netflix, go see The Social Dilemma and at least learn something from it. But no, this is not the right way to go. You need to have a schedule. Yes, you used to wake up at 9, fine, wake up at 9. Do your exercise, have your coffee, keep a diet, keep socializing, don't close yourself. Okay, keep it open, keep friendly. Okay, as much as we can, we are all as human, we are a social animal. We need the contact. Now it's impossible. This will change. But yes, for the question, it is possible, but it needs to have a routine. And in a startup especially, it cannot be a routine of one person, or let's say one person is in charge. Everyone is in charge. So one day I have a good day and you're having a bad one, I pull you up. Next day you pull me up. This is how it is with startups. Remember, companies compete, startups unite, because startups are always low on resources. They will always unite. Companies want to eat one another in competition. Very different. Guys, unite.
I remember on your keynote speech last week, you said that it's very important to have a team, because when in the same team, when one has a very bad like day or time, or is about to give up, he loses his motivation, then the other people can like lift him up. So it's very important to have more than one person in your team. Is that right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So what I would also like to ask is, what about you? You mentioned that Lithuania has a lot of Lithuanian startups has and can have a lot of help from our government. We have a lot of programs that support startups in many ways, like giving them, like investing in a way, and supporting them with mentors. So my question would be, what about the policymakers during this time? What policy intervention to support startups and to speed their recovery during this
Okay.
time?
So governments, when they, as we say, spray and pray money, first of all, government, they don't own the money. It's the money of the citizens. So when they give you as a startup the money, they need to explain to the citizens why you were given the money. Second is, let's say, European money, UN, European Bank, someone is giving the money. And we want this to be a recurrent kind of funding. If there is no success, money will not come again. So much of it lies on success story. And this is why you and the government, by the way, when I say government, I mean all government bodies, even a municipality. I'm sure the municipality is very interested in a success story. So when you gather all this together, you should say to yourself, if I'm in the government, okay, so first of all, for sure, I will be supporting more, let's say, mentorship. So one thing is to give you the money, 50K, 100K, they don't give more than that. One thing is to give you the money. So they say apply, you apply, they screen and sort, they're interviewing you, they have maybe an expert going through the application and deciding they want to give you the money. I think what is lacking, and maybe here, Milda, you know better than me, if after you are giving the money, are you giving also the expert support to make sure that you know what to do with the money? Now, I know startups don't like it. They say, hey, I want to be my own boss. Well, if you wanted to be your own boss, go make your own money. But if you take from someone money, you are now working for someone. Get this into your skull. Every time I get it from startup, they say, yeah, I want to have a startup. Enough. I don't want to have a boss. I want to be my own boss. Good. Don't take a dollar or a euro from anyone. Then you will be your own boss. The first second you took a euro from someone, you're working for him. So I don't know if the government supports the next stage. So you were giving the money. Now the government says, hey, 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 you just offered me a work plan. I will now make sure that you are following, not like I will not be holding a stick. I will be holding a shocker just to get you back in line. But I will do is I will offer you professional support of a government or semi-government or an accelerator to make sure that you are getting the right help to keep on track. This is my best suggestion to the government right now. Don't be lenient, don't spread money. It's gonna go for waste. Do offer more professional assistance and mentorship. Maybe, yeah, that's it. And just make sure that what was offered is being implemented. And if possible, get a decision, yes or no, quick. I don't know how long it takes right now. In Israel, it should take about 4 weeks. And by the way, the Israeli government decided from, I think, 2 years back now, is that for the 50K given by the government, there used to be an expert going over the application, no more. The government looks at the application, decides yes or no. Say, don't waste time anymore. 4 weeks, you get a decision, yes, no, and you're giving the money. Maybe this is an idea for the government in Lithuania.
And I also have a question. What startups, I mean, in general, maybe in which field or what qualities have the most chance of success this time? Like maybe it's tech startups, maybe it's, I don't know.
So, first of all, when we say startups, of course, we mean tech. I would say this. We see a lot of need for remote telemedicine, remote education, which everyone who knows me knows that I don't think that having a laptop, a Wi-Fi, and a PowerPoint presentation means you are doing remote education. You're doing remote bullshit. And this is now agreed by parents all over the world, yes? By the way, all parents became more of a computer programmers or computer technicians for their kids more than anything else. So what I do believe right now is that remote robotics, and for robotics, I don't just mean the robots, but drones are same robot that we do right now. 3D printing. We know everything regarding medicine or medical in general is very relevant right now. For sure, Corona or related to Corona. I would say, of course, cyber and fintech. Of course, money and cyber is always relevant, interesting. By the way, am I the only one who knows that Bitcoin has gone over $15,000 right now? So yes, we see crypto is rising, and we all heard J.P. Morgan, American bank, who was opposing the crypto, now becoming a big fan of crypto. Corona definitely made an impact. And you don't need to be too clever to understand where the impact is. The question is, would you stay sticking to your own belief that, well, traveling will return? Of course, traveling will return, maybe with a spaceship until Corona is gone. I don't know. But right now, take what you have, check, make sure, validate it has the need that you thought is still relevant, make the adaptation and get going. Don't sit down and dwell and cry and pray to I don't know whom and what. Be proactive. Reach out to the right people, listen to the right podcasts, and again, your chances will increase.
And do you know if there are a lot of startups that concentrate on the COVID-19 issue specifically? And the next part of the question is, what happens to them when the corona passes, if it passes, and what happens to them? Should they shift their field some way, or they will not be needed anymore?
So I think generally there are a lot of technologies now developing around Corona. Um, as a fact, we are now almost a year into the pandemic, and still to check if I had the virus before flying to Dubai, I had to do 2 checks, and then one when I landed, when they stick a stick into my eye and drilled my brain. Come on, a year and we still have to do that? I mean, why don't you bang on my head and let the corona fall? It's crazy. So enough with that already. Get a blowing or something. So we are still not there, and we know that even if you come up with this solution and Corona, hope to God, will pass, there will be some COVID-19, so it will be COVID 2022. I don't know. Something will happen. So this will always, I think, be relevant. We see many artificial nose that knows to smell Corona even 4 or 5 hours after an infected person was in the room. This is a military technology, not civilian, which we have twisted, tweaked towards civilian. So yes, many uses are now being adopted, implemented because of Corona. I have no doubt they are here to stay. I know there are tons of money invested in, especially towards aviation. So by the way, I was checked for Corona and I sat in a full packed aircraft, sitting one shoulder to shoulder, breathing on one another. So one thing is what they tell you in the news, a whole different story was my flight. So yes, we are going back to normal. The airlines cannot bear it anymore. Still, we're trying to keep some kind of distancing. It will, by the way, the fact that we still have to put those masks behind our ears and let our ears almost fall after 2 hours. Yeah. If you have a solution for this, it's for life.
True. So my last question, I guess, would be, how do you see the startup ecosystem in the future, in like 2 to 3 years, maybe when the corona is over? What will have changed after this? What will be different than it used to be?
If you're speaking about the Lithuanian one, no change. It is what it is, Lithuanians. If you ask me about the rest of the world, probably again, no change. Again, just because for startups, nothing really changed because of COVID. Really, the fact that things are tough for startups, that's not news. That's old news. Um, Maybe we did learn that when there is a specific need and urgency, we can implement better. Maybe we have learned because we have listened to this podcast, maybe we got some tips on how we should do, and maybe we find ourselves within 2 years lecturing this to someone else. Maybe Milda will have her own startup, and she will be mentoring start. We don't know, Milda, where you will be in 2 to 4 years. Okay,
True.
maybe you will have your own accelerator. I don't know, or you will be the podcast guru. Um, Definitely, I would say that you should, and I know it's hard to implement, but you should do the best with the situation, for sure, not to break to pieces, but again, be realistic. And if you think the right time now is to stop, to put on hold your venture, find yourself a job because you still need to eat and you need to pay, I don't know, electricity, don't feel bad about it. Don't feel like I've lost. No, you are just adapting to reality. It's fine. Your dream is not going to go away. If you have this urge within you, this will not push you away. But When you survive, you do what you need to do. There is
Mhm.
no time for gaming right now. Don't take the decision too late. Don't find yourself in a position you would be in better doing right now within 2 months from now. This is how sensitive situation is now. And again, the good people will find work easy. The less good needs to be better. Yes, by the way, I see a lot of people changing jobs right now, which leaves me shocked. How will the person now leave a job and say, I'm going to search for a new one? I'll tell you why, because they know they're good. They know they will find a job. With the others, they just cling. They time themselves to the chairs, hoping it will not happen to them. Don't be
Mhm.
stupid. If you feel this is a situation, instead of doing this, try to be better. Try to be better. Instead of sitting at home and saying to yourself, oh my God, the next phone call is going to be my boss, you're fired. Instead of waiting for the call, by the way, it doesn't mean, by the way, that he needs to fire you. He can be calling you and tell you, hey, we have gone chapter 11, company closed. What will you do then? There is no company anymore. Forget about the fact that you're unemployed. There is no company. Instead of that, how about you pick up the phone, call your manager and say, how can I help? Listen, you know what? I heard this amazing podcast of Milda and I got such good ideas. I want to help. I think I can maybe give you a new direction for the entire company. I have the rest of the team with me. Don't pay us right now. We're going to do a change. Maybe they will surprise you. They will say, yes, we're going to pay you. Thank you for the idea. Go right ahead. And when you're not optimistic and when you're not thinking positive, you're going nowhere. Okay?
Yeah.
That's my advice.
I've heard a very interesting thing from other mentors in the startup. We were talking about the trauma that leads startups, not only startup, all the businesses, when people create something that they put a lot of work into, and they equalize their business with them. It's like business is me, and when their business fail, they're left with trauma and regret, and especially it applies for startups when so many startups fail.
Hmm.
How to deal with that? How would you suggest?
Say, I was not conscious. Say again, please, the question.
It was a long one.
No, I'll tell you why, because I need to rush right now. So if you
Oh,
want to just end it.
yeah, it's fine. No, no, never mind. So,
So in and out?
nevertheless, yeah. So, Tal,
Okay.
thank you very much for being here with me, for giving such great advice for our startups. And I hope that I know you've been in Lithuania several times, and I hope you will come again when the virus passes and we can meet each other and you can meet other startups in person. So, thank you very much again, and I hope I'll see you soon. So, stay safe and healthy.
Thank you, Milda. I hope our advice will help some people, turn around their thoughts. And for sure, we would maybe hold another podcast or maybe hold another session where we will invite people to be live and ask us questions. If the people like it after this podcast, maybe you can ask them, just write, I want to participate, or yes to our question. Do you want to take part in a live broadcast of, let's say, Zoom or whatever? And answer Q&As. I mean, do some and get things moving. Thank you for this opportunity. You've been amazing and wonderful. Thank you again for the opportunity. I will really want to come over and visit Lithuania in the near future. Just don't be red anymore. And is it red? I don't know if you're red or not. No, I'm saying that. And good luck to everyone. Stay optimistic, stay positive, think open, reach out. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be Lithuanian. Be more welcoming, more friendly. Smile more, like Milda does, and good things will happen to you. Good luck to everyone.
Thank you.